There's a new legendary item for the Corpse Lance build. Check it out. Corpse Lance now causes enemies to decay, dealing 1325 damage. Also have the Corpse Lance pants on and the chest plate that's going to allow me to generate corpses while I'm moving. Basically, the build I'm going for today is to generate as many corpses as I can in order to test out Corpse Lance. So here we go. We're going to use an Elder Rift because all of the damage is normalized and it's a good fair test of it. Now, normally Corpse Lance, in my opinion, has not been that exciting of a move. And if you're going to ask me why I haven't liked it so far, I would tell you because the damage seems to be flat and static. So very often while I'm farming minions like these ones, the lower minions, what would end up happening is these minions would get left behind kind of like this, where there's either one or two of them left behind, and typically there wasn't enough damage to sort of kill and finish off these minions. Now what I'm noticing with this new build is with the damage over time, often some of the minions that I hit will then die like that one, and that gives me another corpse to be able to hit the next one, etc. It's also giving you a chance to be able to proc more things like Seeping Bile. So moments like this one where it's like these minions are almost dead, it will finish the kills, and like this, here you go, here's another example, and then generate another corpse, which is making it a little bit easier for me to kind of continue the Corpse Lance farming. That's been the biggest addition I've noticed so far. I have been using this for a lot of overworld farming where it was most obvious there, because in the overworld farming, I was basically able to just one-shot most things with this Corpse Lance build. I would say a couple of things about this Corpse Lance build. It's still very single target focused, so you're going to have to do a lot of spam clicking, okay? You can't just like hit one button, corpse explode, and wipe out an entire pack. It is much more single target focused. Also, because of the way that corpses work, you constantly have to generate the corpse like I've been saying before, so you probably want to pair it with some other abilities that either generate corpses for you, or be able to clear through some of the mobs quickly, or even generate corpses through like having summons. Even your own summons would generate corpses too, so that's another way you can do it. But really, the biggest benefit I'm noticing on this is when I'm clearing the smaller mobs, you can see the damage over time triggering, which triggers the gems like that. That right there is a great example of probably what this guy can actually do. So if you're looking to use the Corpse Lance, I definitely think the Corpse Lance is significantly better once you have sort of min-maxed your build. Once you have all of the items, I think you're going to want the Corpse Lance pants. I think you're going to want the chest plate that generates corpses. I think Grim Scythe, this seems like one that could definitely be used here, and I definitely think it's going to pair well with the item that makes where Grim Scythe increases all damage done for the next period of time, because where this build actually has an advantage is in its burst damage. You can grab all of the different corpses like that and generate a pretty good amount of burst damage, and the AI isn't actually too bad on Corpse Explode or on the Corpse Lances, where it will sort of target when it's these weaker minions. It will spread the target out and hit multiple of them. But you can see there's the damage over time, triggering the different gems, etc., which is continuing to kill the pack. And just like that, that's a great example of how that new portion of the gem is going to be helping us, or the new portion, I should say, of the item here, of the helmet, because it is a helmet, not a gem, is going to be helping your gems, is what I'm trying to express. So for that own personal reason, Corpse Lance for me in this variation is okay. It doesn't seem amazing. Let me show you an example here, because we're about to get to a boss to it, and then I also want to show you an example of one other version of the Corpse Lance build that you can use, which is a little bit different, and it might be useful for farming, which we're going to show you in just a moment using the other shield. So here we go. We have a boss. We're going to generate a whole bunch of corpses. We're going to go ahead and corpse down. There you go. That was a 30k basically burst, and then there's another good about 30,000 damage burst, which is about what you get with that many corpses. And then we have some more minions that are showing up here. We're going to go ahead and lay down some more corpses. We're going to Corpse Lance some more. They're smart enough to split the damage up, and then we can use some more corpses from that. So you can see the damage is all right, and single target damage tends to be one of the things we are weaker on. I don't have a bunch of minions helping me with the damage, so really it all is just this corpse damage, and it's okay damage. All right, I still think that Corpse Lance has the biggest problem of just not continually having a bunch of corpses generated. That tends to be the issues with this build, but let me show you the one other way we can get around that. So what we can do is actually inherit this other offhand here, which is going to make the Corpse Lance collect as summon projectiles, sort of like an ammunition type of system. And this can be quite interesting. Let me show you how this can be useful. Here we're back into another rift. This time you're going to notice the corpses do something different. So when I have corpses with the 10 thorn shield and I use the ability, it actually summons them as an ammunition. I can store up to 10 of these guys, and just like that I can shoot it through. Well, you're going to notice that because of that, it actually hits multiple times. The damage is actually quite good, if you're going to notice, and it's very quick as well. So you can take these, you can carry them with you, and you can use it to shoot through waves. The only thing is you want to make sure that you're constantly grabbing enough of them to blow through the minions entirely, and that you're also getting a big enough wave that you can resummon the maximum amount of projectiles again. For instance, like this, I would shoot through the wave, I would resummon the projectiles to get the maximum, and I would shoot through the wave again, etc. This can be one way to be able to preload damage and bring damage with you, so when you run into monsters like this one, you can have a good chunk of burst damage right out of the beginning without having to have corpses, etc. This is sort of one way around the constant corpse problem. You still have to have the same amount of corpses, but it's just a little bit easier to manage the corpses, and also kind of gives you that front-loaded damage. It's not auto-targeting. You do have to basically manually aim it, and that can be a little bit unfortunate. I mean, you can just hit the button real quick and it's going to do its best job to aim, but in terms of like actually min-maxing this, you can't just like spam the 2 button like you could with the normal corpse version, and also it doesn't have as good of range. So if you are farming the overworld, this is better for when you're actively paying attention, and the other corpse lance one is going to be better for when you're pretty absent-minded and you're like watching a movie and you're just tapping the button or what have you. So keep that in mind with the corpse lance builds as well. Overall, I still don't really like corpse lance. I'm going to be honest. It feels underwhelming to me. It feels like maybe the 10 thorns version here that I'm using, there's something to be had, because when you actually look at this, like watch this right here, bang, just like that, one shot. I mean, for the most part, one shot's the wave. Like here's another blue. He's got 42,000 health. Okay, I mean, if it can't one-shot the blue, which is 42,000, it's a little bit disappointing to have the damage preloaded to me, to be honest, but I've heard people are able to get this build to work pretty well, and it does work pretty well when you're overworld farming, okay? But the problem with this version of the build, too, is now when you get to bosses, you have this, so it's like, okay, let me grab all these, corpse lance them down, corpse lance them like that, and the damage isn't really... like, there's not a lot there for the boss. You notice I can just keep spamming the boss, just keep hitting the button like this. I'm getting 21k crits, but now my damage is kind of slowing down. You run out of corpses, damage isn't there, sort of in the same way that the damage really isn't there in the other version of the build. So we're still running out of the problem of just the ammunition of having corpses. So I come to the conclusion that Corpse Lance itself, the move, without the 10 thorns offhand, is actually probably not that bad if we assumed an unlimited amount of corpses where I could basically just spam the button on cooldown. But because of the generation of corpses being a problem, you have to either be stronger than the world you're already in to farm through the things, or you have to be using the 10 thorns variant and carrying the corpses with you, which you could probably do while overworld farming, but it just seems like there's way easier ways to do this. Like basically the bone armor flickering warmth that has the orbiting spikes does it's just relatively the same damage as the corpse lance, and I don't understand why would you want to use the corpse lance where I have to generate the corpses and min-max who I'm targeting, especially when I'm using the offhand, where I could literally just run next to somebody and they're going to receive what's close to the same damage anyway. So for me, Corpse Lance might actually be a good build, but I don't like it regardless. So I think that there's probably someone out there that's going to be able to get it to good effect. It probably does have some pretty good single target damage, and there's probably better ways to min-max this, especially once you get the Grim Scythe with like percentage damage increase on Corpse Lance and things like that. And probably some charms would help out a lot with this build too. But for me, it's just a clunky enough build. It's not fun enough to use. It's sort of difficult to manage all the corpses, corpse explosions, and a big AoE anyway, which I like better. And all of the things don't really click together enough to make me really like Corpse Lance still in its current iteration, even with all of its modifiers. If you appreciated the information, consider subscribing, hit the sub button, hit the like up. That's what I want in exchange. That's it. Have a great day.